Oats, barley, wheat, and rye occupy over 3 1/3 million acres of Wisconsin cropland. These are the small grains Wisconsin grows for feed, food, and industrial uses. Today, almost all Wisconsin farms grow grain. Together, they produce annually over 130 million bushels as a contribution to the state's agricultural wealth. Wisconsin farmers have always been concerned with improving their grain, lowering disease losses, and increasing yields per acre. Our story of Wisconsin certified seeds is one of modern grain improvement, of state and federal scientists working together with seed producers to give Wisconsin farmers the kind of grain they need. In earlier years, grain breeding consisted mainly of selection, searching among thousands of plants for the few which had superior qualities. The seed was saved, planted, the offspring was tested, and the best eventually increased. Pure line selection, as this method was called, produced many good and widely used varieties and made a great contribution to grain improvement. For over 50 years, scientists working at the University of Wisconsin College of Agriculture have been applying the best known methods of their time in breeding and testing. Today, the grain breeder no longer depends on natural variations as a basis for selection. In modern practice, he produces variations more quickly and surely by crossing or hybridizing, hoping to combine the good qualities of 2 or more varieties in a still better offspring. Opening the grain flower, he finds the 3 yellow anthers ready to burst and shed their pollen. Carefully, with a pair of tweezers, he removes these to prevent self-pollination. Then he inserts pollen taken from the flower of the other parent strain, bringing about cross-fertilization. A transparent bag is used to protect the crossed flower, and a tag is attached to identify the seed when it's ready for harvest. This is just the beginning. Scores of crosses must be made and hundreds of offspring tested to see if the best qualities of the parents have been inherited. Inside the seed house, weeks of activity precede spring planting and field testing. Head samples, the products of previous crosses, are studied and selected. It must be remembered that each cross produces only a single kernel. When planted, this provides several heads, supplying enough seed so testing can begin. These first products of crossing must be handled carefully to safeguard their possible future value. Heads are carefully threshed by hand. These few grains, after planting, testing, and retesting, may later be increased to many thousands of bushels for distribution to farmer seed growers. To prepare for spring row planting, hundreds of seed packages are put in order and carefully checked. Stakes have been numbered to correspond with the seed packages. In the fields, they will be used to mark and identify each separate selection. In the experimental plots, markers are laying out the positions for the rows. The first plantings of new selections will be made in short 4-foot rows. Longer rows will be used for further testing of those selections which appeared promising in earlier trials. Grain breeders, like all Wisconsin farmers, must take full advantage of good planting weather. In several days, they must plant hundreds of different selections from previous crosses. Laying out rows, setting stakes, hand planting, all present a scene of great activity. Out of hundreds of test rows, 99% or more will be discarded. The few that show special promise will be regrown and retested for several seasons. Work, painstaking care, and great patience are involved in the creation of a new variety for Wisconsin farmers. Under the influence of April showers and the warm spring sun, the rows of seed germinate. The long season of inspection, study, and evaluation begins. The grain breeder checks the new test rows for vigor of growth, seedling diseases, and insect injury. Many rows are inspected plant by plant. Doubtful plants are examined closely, often under a hand lens or microscope. One of the more important phases of the grain breeder's work is constant inspection and recording of disease reaction. Plant diseases are one of the great hazards to grain production. Breeding for disease resistance is an essential part of the grain improvement program. What are some of the serious grain diseases? Smut, which turns the heads into a mass of black powdery spores. Stem rust breaks through the surface of the stalks in red blotches, exposing the essential plant juices to the hot summer sun. Leaf rust kills the leaves and destroys the plant's food-making ability. Both stem and leaf rust result in small, shriveled kernels. Leaf stripe, a disease which kills the leaves of barley. Mildew, another leaf-destroying disease. Scab, which attacks the kernels of wheat and barley. Some diseases live on wild plants, waiting for an opportunity to attack and destroy good grain. Ergot is one of these diseases. It turns the kernels into large, hard, purple bodies. In the search for disease-resistant plants, the grain breeder often uses artificial inoculation. Here he is covering the naked seeds with smut spores before planting to see if the resulting plants will bear healthy, uninfected heads. This artificial test is more severe than any that would occur naturally. Another kind of smut is injected into the young flower shortly after pollination. The smut spores, shown here, are given a chance to infect the developing kernel. Resistance or susceptibility will show up the following year after the kernels are planted. Still other disease organisms are inserted inside the tissues of growing plants with a hypodermic needle. Another form of inoculation is by spraying the plants with disease organisms covering the entire surface to give every chance for infection. Final evidence for resistance or susceptibility is shown in healthy and diseased plants growing side by side. They were equally exposed to infection. In winter, disease testing is transferred to the greenhouse. Here, ideal conditions can be maintained through artificial inoculation and controlled temperature and humidity. The greenhouse is a great time saver. The winter season can be used to hasten progress in solving pressing crop problems. Crosses can be made in the greenhouse in winter as well as outdoors in summer. And in winter, the grain breeder can grow hybrid plants from seeds crossed the previous summer. In spring, he can harvest first-generation seeds to enter in the next summer's row nursery. Out in the field, the test rows have ripened. The rows have been under constant study throughout the growing season. Records have been kept on height, maturity, standing ability, disease resistance, on every important characteristic. These records determine whether a selection is worthy of being considered as a possible new variety. One new selection may show early promise in straw strength and standing ability, while another may fail and have to be discarded. Harvesting the row tests is largely handwork. With only a few grains available from each row, the ripe heads must be handled carefully. Some of the plants are pulled out of the soil, or where conditions are favorable, others are cut with a sickle. The plants in the separate rows must be tied together with the row stake for later identification. Paper bags protect the heads of ripe grain from damage by weather and birds. When the ripe grain from the scores of rows has been tied and bagged, it's ready for threshing. A miniature grain separator is used to thresh the row test bundles. The grain from each bundle is weighed, the weight recorded, and the seed kept for possible future tests. After several seasons of row tests, the outstanding hybrid grains are given performance tests in plots. These plot tests give evidence as to yielding ability when grown under field conditions. Each plot is a separate selection. Each originated from a single seed, a product of scientific breeding. 10, 12, 15 years of continuous testing and selection is the foundation on which Wisconsin certified seed production is built. Which of these plots will out-yield, resist disease, stand better than the best varieties used today? Which will provide the grain Wisconsin farmers will soon be growing? Each plot is harvested separately with the binder. The bundles are shocked to dry out in preparation for threshing. The grain breeders eagerly await the results. Perhaps one of these selections will prove so outstanding that it will be chosen and increased. Bushel weights are checked and recorded. The final proof is in comparative performance. The next step in our story of Wisconsin certified seed is the production of foundation seed. The grains proved superior in the final plot tests have been given variety names and increased for this larger field planting. The foundation seed fields must be carefully checked several times during the growing season. No serious weeds and no foreign grains are allowed to contaminate this foundation seed, which will be supplied to certified seed growers. The Wisconsin College of Agriculture produces and distributes many thousands of bushels of foundation seed grain annually. Wisconsin certified seed must be grown directly, each year, from this college foundation stock. After combining and bagging, the grain is moved to the modern seed storage and processing plant on the university farm. Processing of the foundation seed stock begins late in the fall. All of the foundation seed grown for the college has been trucked in. The grain is moved to the elevator pit. The best modern equipment is used to clean and treat the foundation seed. This seed must be in the best condition for the certified seed growers. The sacks filled with the cleaned and treated seed are sewed and made ready for labeling with the official green foundation seed tag. Each spring, the carefully prepared foundation seed is loaded on trucks, ready for transportation to the certified seed growers. Foundation seed, the connecting link between grain breeding and certified seed production, ensures highest possible purity. Before planting, the seed machinery must be cleaned to prevent contamination. Certified seed production has many exacting requirements. The foundation seed is sown in clean, fertile soil, in a well-prepared seed bed. Extra skill, care, and equipment are necessary to maintain the extreme purity and quality which gives special value to certified seed. Seed certification A program of inspections, tests, records, and labeling authorized by the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture now comes into action. Fields are inspected during the growing season. A representative of the Seed Producers Association sees that they are separated the required distance from other varieties. No mixture with other kinds of grain, and no prohibited weeds are allowed. Clean fields are an essential feature in producing good seed. Inspectors counsel with growers and advise on methods of growing and handling. A written report for the certification office tells whether the field meets the Wisconsin certified seed requirements. All of the years of research, crossing, selecting for disease resistance, row tests, plot tests, foundation seed, all of the careful preparation and handling are brought to a focus in the certified seed fields. Midsummer brings its reward in a bountiful harvest of pure ripe grain. But the job is not done. Skill and good judgment are yet needed. The grain must be mature and dry for combining or threshing. Harvesting machinery must be adjusted to thresh without kernel damage. The purity and quality of certified seed are no accident. They are the result of meticulous preparation, good judgment, and good equipment. After growing and harvesting, the seed is processed. Chaff and small kernels are removed. The fanning mill uses an air draft and screens for separation. The gravity machine separates the grain into uniform sizes. From processing equipment, the seed is finally bagged. But the grain still is not ready for the official blue Wisconsin certified seed tag. It first has to be sampled for testing. The inspector probes a number of bags in each lot to get a representative sample. He identifies the sample on the envelope. In the laboratory, purity tests are made. The samples drawn by the inspector are closely examined. The proportion of foreign matter in the sample will be determined and a purity statement recorded on the envelope. Testing for moisture. Certified seed must be dry enough to stay in good condition in storage. The electric moisture tester quickly and accurately determines moisture content. In the germination chamber, with the right humidity and temperature, the seed demonstrates how it will perform when planted in the field. Germination is checked carefully and recorded. Strong, vigorous sprouts on 90% or more of the seeds are required for first quality Wisconsin certified seed. Office work ties together the activities of field, seed house, and laboratory. Thousands of letters are sent out, reports received, and records filed. System and accuracy in the certification office help put the certainty in certified seed. All requirements having been met, the seed is officially tagged and sealed with the certified seed label. The big red W on the blue tag identifies it as Wisconsin certified. It is now ready to make its contribution to Wisconsin farms and to the agricultural wealth of the state. Certified seed production means purity and quality, based on the establishment of high standards and sound policy by the Certification Executive Committee. It means scientific methods of breeding by research specialists. breeding for disease resistance. Certified seed production means year after year of testing and retesting in the row nursery. Selecting outstanding superior grain through plot testing. It means thorough supervision and inspection of foundation fields. The mark of pure planting stock supplied each year. Wisconsin certified seed means inspection of certified seed fields. Processing with modern equipment. Good storage. Purity tests. Moisture tests. Germination test. A single hybridized seed increased to many thousands of bushels. Wisconsin certified seed for higher yielding and better quality grain on Wisconsin farms.